obviously you guys have heard there's a lot of activity going on around PRRS elimination, and I wanted to give you an update of some of the things that happened at Forum and then some of the subsequent actions and future potential actions. So back, though, a little history. In 2010, essentially at the Pork Forum, the National Pork Producers Council had a resolution presented and passed that basically recommends working towards a united goal of PRRS elimination within the U.S. swine herd, that the policy should support and identify resources and investments for accomplishing this goal. However, they did make the request that this is not a government mandate. At the same time, during that pork forum, there was also a sister resolution that was presented through the National Pork Board. That one did have language more listing of eradication of PRRS virus. It did not mention necessarily government mandate, but that one at that time did not pass. So the NPPC resolution was the only one that had passed in 2010. So bring us forward to this year. There's been a lot of subsequent activity on PRRS elimination. A lot of it is on a very local level or regional level, but there has been significant amount of work trying to determine what are the strengths and weaknesses of doing such an elimination projects. So this year at our pork forum, there was a pork forum advisement presented to the National Pork Board, and it was passed. So essentially the language of that advisement states that the National Pork Board continue to be engaged in the PRRS elimination discussion that prioritizes research and education towards continued development and applications of tools and strategies with the goal of elimination of the virus. Essentially what that was telling us is basically to continue on a similar path that we had been before. This language very closely mirrors our tactics for our PRRS initiative research, the research that we do at the National Pork Board. So what's going on? How does this advisement impact that? Well, currently USDA does have a PRRS cap, which is a coordinated agricultural project. This is the second of a second round of a 4-year term, so we're working on the second 4 years for PRRS cap. They have formally funded 7 different projects, and there's more requests in the hopper, but currently they only have funded 7 total. And these projects vary in their scope, their goals and objectives, so each one of these different 7 is a little bit different from the other, and right now they're in at least 8 different states that I can recall. Beringer-Ingelheim also has their ARC&E, the Area Regional Control and Elimination Programs that they run and utilize. This group, BI, also works with PRRS cap and does some assistance and help with some of the mapping and the logistics. But BI does have separate projects they are currently working on. There's many across different state lines as well, and then they do work and support CAP and crossover and a lot of the things that they can offer. Again, there's many different state efforts, for example, in Indiana, Iowa, Wisconsin, Missouri, Colorado, Nebraska, Pennsylvania, Virginia. I can't remember, there may be some more, but there's several different states, and there's more coming each and every day and more questions coming. So what we're looking at from a pork board perspective is really trying to be a coordinator, at least to get all the different groups together into one area, basically to discuss what is needed, what direction do we take, and how should this roll out, or where do we go. So we started with a core group of people last Friday really to look at what are our confidentiality issues, because right now that's a big issue with producers on a various level for a lot of different reasons. But, you know, how much can people share, and or are they willing to share without putting their businesses at risk or getting into it on other issues? So that was one place that we needed to start and just say, what can we share to educate producers and veterinarians but yet not put people at risk? So that's still one that's a really big issue that we're trying to completely work out. We will be hosting a second coordinated strategy meeting in May 19th, which consists of a much larger group of stakeholders, both people that are in academia, universities, and USDA, but also a lot of producers that are actively involved in the project and some of the project coordinators. And again, the goal is just to say what are things that we need to do, we as the group, to get information out to the people that need to know it. A lot of discussion has been held that this needs to be a producer initiative, but somewhere there's still some degree of lack of producer information. So this group, one of the big tenets is to try to come together to agree on some principles of confidentiality and sharing, but also to decide what information needs to get out there. Other things that will be going on at World Pork Expo, there I'm sure will be several seminars and meetings to discuss PRRS and the elimination efforts. And then also with AASV, who is another big player in this, looking at World Pork Expo, having their PRRS task force meeting, folks get together to discuss what's going on, and then also support through annual meeting seminars and different things like that. I didn't have this up here, but also, we support, with a joint effort with PRRS CAP, our annual International PRRS Symposium, which happens to be the first weekend in December. At that meeting, we also have joint meetings with BI and with PRRS CAP, basically to discuss issues pertinent to PRRS. And that will happen again this year. So our research initiative, really, as you can see, this language is very similar to the advisements, to continue to support PRRS elimination through the use and development of tools and resources that can help veterinarians and producers better manage PRRS. We're just getting ready to post that call. It'll go out in another day or so. And then the deadline submission will be May 24th, and we'll select those proposals in July. But we work with a lot of different partners on this. We work with USDA PRRS CAP, we work with AASV Task Force, we work with BI. We've also worked with the Canadian Swine Health Board, who's been very gracious to share what their priorities are. So as we look at this, this is not just a U.S. initiative, but it really is a continental and an international initiative. So we want to work together to make sure that we're not doing research that other people may have already done and not overlap, or if there are other research projects, how can we complement and coordinate with those as well? So that's the goal of our research initiative.